Said I never wanna let you down. I don't wanna stick around.
Kush Sessions.
If you see me outside in your area code, call up my line and keep your body close. Yeah, we had a good ride, but the feeling run cold. If I'm stuck on your mind, then let my body know. If you see me outside in your area code, call up my line and keep your body close. We had a good ride, but the feeling run cold. If I'm stuck on your mind, then let my body know.
Body know.
Is it worth it if I can't sleep without you in my mind? With your body and insomnia. Is it worth it if I can't sleep? If I can't sleep?
We can't
Sessions on patreon.com/Kush Sessions.
They say that we're no good for each other. Some for the buzzer, lost on the other. We keep making waves on our covers, things to discover. You'll be my lover. Say that we're no good for each other. Some for the buzzer, lost on the other. We keep making waves on our covers, things to discover. You'll be my lover. You'll be my lover.
stranger that'll pass through telling half-truths. Nothing good ever happens after 2:30. Look around the room at the people that's among us. The same old stories, you can judge us by our covers. Abandoned by our fathers or our mothers, or siblings or some others. Searching for someone to love us. Life of the party, glass of something nasty. Lighting up a room but in the dark our hearts bleed. There's a hole in the middle, I've been trying but I can't fade. kitchen, spilling out my heart to every stranger that'll pass through, telling half-truths. Nothing good ever happens after 2:30. Cleaning up your act is an act of self-loving. Been to hell and back and ended up with nothing. I was running from discovering all these feelings that are flooding. All the chugging and the puffing and the buzzing comes to nothing. You have to set down all the burdens you've been clutching. Show yourself some love instead of dishing out your judgment. Are you truly happy with the person you're becoming? Stand and face your demons or you'll spend your life running. Don't spend your life running. So you'll find me in a kitchen, spilling out my heart to every stranger that'll pass through, telling half-truths. Nothing good ever happens after 2:30. We ain't bad guys, we just came from bad places. Holes in our hearts, but we're filling up the spaces. Scars in our souls that we're slowly erasing. Healing old wounds and rewriting our pages. Bad guys, we just came from bad places. Holes in our hearts, but we're filling up the spaces. Scars in our souls that we're slowly erasing. Healing old wounds and rewriting our pages.
If I explained the pain I hide, would you even get me? If we talked all night for fading light, would you embrace and accept me? Connect the dots correctly, trying not to overshare. My eyes weaving to a sleeve of good I don't wear. Maybe I should switch to suit of armor, drop down my defenses. Maybe that would make me calmer when I come back to my senses. Don't know how I can prevent this. I'm wrapped so tight and pensive. The depths that I've frequented make me feel so apprehensive. I just want to feel contented. Why is happiness contentious? Sometimes I see a path when the blackness has relented, but then I am presented with the darkness I am friends with. My mind is so fragmented and the fragments can't be mended. Try to hide it and pretend it, there's no pain behind my smile, but these demons are deep-rooted and they can't be versatile. I'm feeling like a child, feeling lost miles from home. I can't explain this feeling when I'm feeling so alone. When I'm feeling so alone, tell you all the darkest parts of the life that I've experienced and the colours of my heart. As it starts to break it sharp, you put your feet up on the shards. As the ruby ignites from sparks, crumbles and falls apart. But we dance on through the flames, see really that's all we can do. Didn't plan to open up, but that just made me understand you. So let's carry this dance through, deep into the night. Water streaming through the ceiling, bursting seams on all the pipes. But we are all we need, create a scene of love and light. That's all you really need in life, if you can team up for the fight. But your demons keep breathing and find meaning, you'll be alright. Wish I'd have seen it sooner, now it's clean and clear and bright. Then you had all the answers to the questions that I had. You were the explanation with the words upon the pad. I don't need to contain it, I can shift the way I'm feeling. Cause now I can explain it, cause you gave me a reason.
Sessions.
night falls and he's sitting on his ones, stuck in that rut again. She left because he couldn't change his ways. Wish he was young again. All-nighters were turning into days, living so far from Zen. And yeah, it's flat cement. Didn't wanna clean, so we straight off to the pub. Another G&T, bad decisions piling up. He's behind on all his bills, but he doesn't give a fuck. It's hard to see clearly when you're falling out of love. He staggers out the boozer, 2 left feet is in a bush. He remembers that his teacher said his balance wasn't good. 11 on a Tuesday, now he's pissed up on his own, and there's nobody at home.
What could I do? How long could I wait for you? How does it feel? It's not like I ever made you choose. I gave you everything, you threw it back at me. I had to be stronger than you ever tried to be. 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 Tried to be.
Yeah. Same shirt, hasn't showered in a week. She can't believe her eyes. Came round only just to grab her things. He's thrown away his life. A story of a man that lost his way to never learn again. And yeah, it's flat cement. Didn't want it clean, so we straight off to the pub. Another G&T, bad decisions piling up. He's behind on all his bills, but he doesn't give a fuck. It's hard to see clearly when you're falling out of love. He staggers out the boozer, 2 left feet is in a bush. He remembers that his teacher said his balance wasn't good. 11 on a Tuesday, now he's pissed up on his own, and there's nobody at home.
What could I do? How long could I wait for you? How does it feel? It's not like I ever made you choose. I gave you everything, you threw it back at me. I had to be stronger than you ever tried to be. Stronger than you ever tried to be. Stronger than you ever tried to be. Stronger than you ever tried to be.
Most people never pick up the phone and call. Most people never ask, and that's what separates sometimes the people that do things from the people that just dream about them. You gotta act, and you've got to be willing to fail. You've got to be willing to crash and burn. You know, with people on the phone, with starting a company, with whatever. If you're afraid of failing, you won't get very far.
info, go to kushsessions.com.
Sure. Sure you're okay. You know, goodbye isn't forever.
I love you. Follow
And with all the lies you told, I know it's the right time to go. And every day the sun will fall, and now I've never been so sure. The only person meant for me is staring back at the screen. A love letter from me to me.
events. My lifestyle's a series of events, from the stage to the rave to the festival tent. My serotonin came and it went, when the high is so high then the lows are intense. And the tablets they prescribe are just sending you west. You need more than pills when the weight's on your chest. Sitting on a weight and distressed, spiraling down to the depths. I'm trying to figure out the puzzle, hoping to bring them to come up for breath. Did we find this, or did this find us? I built a family up from the festival dust. I grew a family tree of people just like me, all searching for something that we never quite reach, filling holes in our hearts at the end of the week. Together we are strong, but divided we're weak. Sometimes it takes a catalyst to get you to speak, to let you feel free and put your mind at ease. Of the bottle, I've been deep at the bottom of the bag. I've been deep trying to figure out the puzzle. I've been deep just trying to understand. I've been deep at the bottom of the bottle. I've been deep at the bottom of the bag. I've been deep trying to figure out the puzzle. I've been deep just trying to understand.
Support Kush Sessions on patreon.com/Kush Sessions.
Head top. Them not wanna test me, let's go.
my brain from working, killing my serotonin, yeah. Oh, memories can't count the ways I curse you. Wish that I could unlearn you. Hope that they find a cure soon. Connection from recollection, I'm vacationing from my transgressions, and a subversion of expectation. I'm stepping out and seeking redemption. I could move someplace, I could change my name, but I won't let things go.